Hello everyone, this is Jacopo, CEO of Dynamight Studios, here with a new video development diary for Fractured Online. The topic of this video is the new continent of Terra, which is the first continent of planet Arboreus, inhabited by the Wildfolk race that many of you have been waiting for a long time. The topic of the video isn't really the features or the characteristics of the continent itself, but more how we create a continent, right? Starting from the concepting phase to the actual creation within our game engine, which is Unity. Now, if you've been following Fractured for some time, you probably know that we spent a lot of time developing tools that allow us to create very large open worlds relatively quickly, trying to minimize manual work on actual asset placement and modeling of terrain as much as possible. Of course, creating such big worlds and making them interesting still takes a long time. A lot of work by level designers and game designers, but nowhere as close as to what it would take if we didn't have these tools. Literally, if we didn't have these tools, creating a world like this would take, 2 years of work. It would be insane, absolutely unfeasible. With the tools we developed, it takes a couple of months with 2 people working on it, which is still a lot, but it's doable at this point. By the way, all the tools that I'm going to show you in this video have actually been developed in-house. In the beginning of the project, we tried using external tools, external libraries, and modifying them to suit our needs, but nothing would really fit. So in the end, we were just like, okay, we write everything ourselves. We write all the tools specifically tailored around the needs of Fractured Online, and that has worked out really, really well. So let me show you something. All right, let me show you where everything begins. Let me hide this seaplane. You see, this is completely empty sea. And now I'm going to use this fractured world generator to spawn 13 by 13 new terrains. Now, it's hard from this video, from my screen, to assess the scale of the world. But I'm telling you, this is 7.5 by 7.5 kilometers. So this is actually huge, okay? It takes like 1 hour walking from one angle to the other angle of this square. By the way, as you can see, the base shape of the continent is a square, like our previous continent, Eren, and I'm telling you, all future continents are also going to be more or less squared. This is for technical reasons, but also for gameplay reasons, not to make it so that there's one side of the planet that takes way longer than the other to traverse. This is a problem with our first continent, Mir. That it's very rectangular, it's a sausage shaped, and that creates all sorts of problems. So this is going to be, from now on, the standard size and shape of our continents. Now let me make these terrains dark, and that is going to help showing the following features. All right. Now I'm going in this Fractured World Terrain Manager, and I'm going to show you how we turn this huge flat plane, actually this huge combination of 13 by 13 flat planes, into something with a shape. And it all starts from here, from height maps. I guess you know what a height map is it shows what areas of the world are higher and what areas of the world are lower. So as you can see, the sea level is blue, unsurprisingly, and then you have this lighter blue which is above sea level, and then the green one is even higher, and then the yellow is even higher, and red is again higher, purple, and so on. This is all decided by our game designer. It just created its own color code for this. This is actually how you see the continent in the game, right? This is the inclination. I was showing it to you like this in the beginning, but it's actually rotated 45 degrees clockwise compared to the standard Unity coordinates. Now, as you can see, I mean, even from this image, like, you can already assess more or less how the planet looks like. You can see there's a big river, actually lakes, rivers and lakes that cross the whole continent, coming from the sea. Here you have all these islands surrounded by this huge lake. You can see there is this peculiar structure here, which, as you might have guessed, is a volcano, with a volcano crater that is lower than the area outside, of course, because it's a crater, so that makes sense. And you can already see there are islands, and yeah, it's a very varied, like, it's a very sophisticated shape here, okay? How do we paint this? Well, actually, painting is the correct word, because you just click this button, and you just click, let's say that I want this coastal area to go further into the sea, or I want to create a new island. All I'm going to do is say, all right, I want to paint level +1, so just right above the sea, and I'm going to go here, and I'm going to click, and you see, oh, I think the brush size is big, so say I make it smaller, and here, now, say 3, okay, and here I am changing the shape of the coast, and now there's a bit more coast than there used to be before. Okay, let's stop the drawing. So yeah, as you can imagine, drawing all of this takes a while, but it's not the only thing our game designers and level designers have to draw, because there's a ton of different masks that are going to determine the shape of the world. Another one, for instance, is the roads mask. Okay, you can see here, these are the roads of the continent. All right, as you can see, the blue ones are the main roads, where you get the highest move speed buff in the game, and the brown ones are the dirt roads, where you get a moderate movement speed buff. Now, usually these steps actually comes later, so I'm probably going to show you the generation right now. So yeah, I have this terrain. I have drawn the height map. Well, I'm saying I have drawn, but it's not me, right? It's game and level designers. Then I'm going to just go here in the world generator and tell the world generator, all right, turn these flat terrains into the proper shape. And it's just about clicking here and waiting for a bit. This is actually pretty fast, right? It's already completed. It took, what, 3 seconds? And we already have the shape. You can see that things are starting to look different, right? Here's the volcano that you saw before. Has now been properly generated. Now, as you can see, the angles of the terrain are still really sharp, and that is why we have a feature called erosion, right? There's an algorithm that will run several erosion passes on the continent to make everything smoother and more realistic. I'm not going to show you this because this is going to take like a couple of minutes, so it's a pretty complex and slow algorithm. Okay, now as you can see, there is not only, there's something here that was not present in the height map, right? So the height map doesn't have anything, but there's actually a depression here. Where did this come from? As you might have guessed, that's a river, and here it is. So this is the river mask. Let's hide the height map. Here it is, right? So this is the map of the sea. This is lakes. This is rivers. Again, how has this been created? Just by painting, just to start drawing mask, and somebody has drawn a river here, has drawn a river here, and then the generator will actually create a depression where the river is meant to be. As I said, there are multiple maps. Nowadays, even the roads actually create, change the shape of the terrain a little bit. It's hard to notice, but if you really get close to the terrain, you actually see that the terrain is not exactly flat where there's a road, right? This makes roads look definitely better in the game, like than they used to do in the continent of Mir. Because, by the way, this is only the second continent we generate with these tools. The continent of Mir, our first continent for the human planet Syndesia, was generated by different tools, which was partially developed in-house, partially using external libraries and code, which delivered the result that was far worse than what we are getting now. All right, so this is the rivers. Let me see if there is anything else interesting to show. There's well, okay, there's a lot of other maps. For example, this one shows you actually each Unity terrain, which is half kilometer by half kilometer. You have the map of territories. This is actually not about okay, let me hide the rivers. This is not about actual word generation, but shows you which territory is controlled by each city. So, you know, there's going to be a city here. You can kind of see, right? There's a lot of empty space here. There's a very straight road. This is a city location, right? This is where players can build a player city, and the player city that is going to be here is going to control this whole region, right? So this is the territories map. Okay, and then you have several others that are still not used, like a minerals map that says, okay, what minerals are present in these worlds, in what areas and what types. That's how it's set. There's maps for event clusters, you know, like these are not present yet on the continent of Erin, but if you played on the continent of Mir, you should know that you have like all of these events with chests. You have bandits, goblins, trolls, and many more all around the world. Again, we decide what types of events go where and where each single possible spawn point is by drawing these masks. Okay. So yeah, well, I guess the last map that I still haven't shown, which is very, very relevant, is the biomes mask. All right, let me show you what biomes we have in this continent. Now, the basic one is the beach biome, which is here. It's yellow. Then the green one is the jungle. Brown is the jungle mountain, which is slightly different. You're going to see that in the game. Looks close to the basic jungle, but it has, you know, less grass and more rocks, and yeah, it looks a bit more like a mountain. There's another type of jungle which is particularly dense. There's the jungle where the Grokotone race lives. These are begin like a low challenge rating creatures, basically the equivalents of the goblins in Mir or Erin. And then there is the volcano. So the volcano itself, it has the mountain area, the crater, and some pools with boiling water. And this is this area here. All right. These data are used by the generator. So yeah, well, I guess I've shown most of it. Most of the mask. Again, drawing is as simple as starting, click to draw, change the shape, let me do it. Say I want a bit more jungle here. Then I'm going to say, all right, give me a little bit more jungle. Easy. Okay. And now let me hide this and let's go to the actual generator. Now, after I've done this, I'm going to, take a sample of the height of the continent, and then I'm going to press this button called Generate Biomes. I'm not going to show it to you because this also takes like 2 or 3 minutes of work, but I will show you the end result, all right, immediately. So in this case, I'm going to remove all these temporary terrains, and I'm actually going to generate terrains that have already been saved in the project. Here they are, and now I'm also going to make them colored again. Okay, here it is. Now this is the final terrain generated with also texturing. So you can see that, you know, this is meant to be covered by the sea. Let me turn this on. Okay, so this seaplane is temporary. It needs to be improved, but it just gives you an idea, right? So there is water up until here. Then there is the beach area. As you can see, everything has been textured according to the masks that I've showed you before. All right, so this is a dirt road. This is a main road, paved road. and you can see the shapes. You can see that, you know, wherever there is a cliff, so you change level of height, the tool is going to change, you know, apply a specific texturing here that makes it look like a cliff, and so on. And this, if you played Fractured, you kind of know how these things look like. Now, of course, looking at things from here is like, oh my god, this is ugly. This looks ugly. Consider that you're seeing things from very, very far away. There's no props yet in the world, and there is also no grass, and you know, there's a lot of things missing from this view. Now, again, how big is this? It's hard to assess the scale of this world, but I'm going to help you by going here, you know, in this, next to this road, let's say, and let's say that I'm going to place here a log house 3x3. This is a classic house built by many players. All right, and next to this house, I'm going to place a goblin shaman. This is basically as big as a player, right? Maybe, no, it's pretty much the size of players. This is a player house, this is a player, and how big is this, you know, compared to the whole size of the world? Now, as I get further away, you start getting an idea that this is, you know, the world is huge. It's really huge. Okay, let me remove these two, the log house and the fire shaman. And so yeah, this is the first part. Like, we've splattered the terrain, we've determined the shape of the terrain. What do we do now? I mean, we need to generate the actual objects. Once again, the fractured world generator is going to do that for you. And there is this object here that in Unity terms is called a scriptable object. And this scriptable object contains the information to generate the world. Okay, so it contains spawners for monsters, spawner for mineral deposits. It contains what are all the you know, the different biomes of the continent. So, you know, you saw the mask. So mask 0 is beach, mask 1 is jungle. Each one has its own profile. Let's open actually these profiles. All right, let's open the beach, which is actually one of the simplest and probably one of the lightest to load. Now you see that you have multiple options in here. One is called biome textures. The texturing of the terrain done here comes from this information. So our game designer decided, okay, we got dirt is 0, sand, roots. So this is actually a mapping of all the textures. And it says what textures do we use? Like, if we want to make cliffs, we use these textures. For the rivers, we use some other textures. If we want to make, you know, the base of the biome is here. So we use texture number 1 with a certain intensity, and you know, there are different types of noise that can be applied to the terrain, to how the textures are actually splattered. This is very technical. Let's not get too much into this, but you know, you get the idea, right? This is a very sophisticated list of instructions. Now, aside from the texturing of the terrain, of course, there's also what items are meant to be placed on the terrain. Right, so again, this is a series of instructions. The coast biome features some large decorations. For example, let's say, what are these decorations? River rocks. Okay, I'm going to show them to you later. These big rocks. Then it has some you know, trees that can actually be harvested. It has mineral nodes, which is actually just stone because the other minerals are added later. Some other plants that can be harvested. It has well, small stones, also known as the gold of Fractured, and yeah, some more decorative foliage. It actually has a lot of decorative foliage. You know, the team has grown. We have a lot more artists now, so we've made really a ton of plants, just decorative, to make these environments interesting. All right, and yeah, as you can see from each directive that you can give to the tool, you can say more or less how far away from each other they should be. There's this density, rarefication, range. There's a lot of stuff. Again, this is very technical, but and then also I don't really know exactly what each number means. That's the best kept secret of our game designers. But yeah, that will do the job. So what is going to happen? Again, I cannot show you the whole generation because the generation of property of actual assets in each terrain takes a long time, but I can show you the end result because, as I said, this has already been generated, this has already been saved. So now I'm just going to pick a random terrain like this one is 6-0, and I'm going to load the data that have already been saved. So 1 by 1, 6-0, and I'm going to load from an internal database. And here are all the props that have already been placed and saved. So you can see this is the coast biome. It has palms, it has all these rocks. Remember previously I mentioned these large decorative rocks. Here they are. And yeah, you get a rough idea of how the biome looks like. Once again, there is one big thing that is missing, which is grass, which in this case would be kind of dry grass. But you know, if you played Fractured like 3 years ago, you remember we didn't have grass on the terrain. The game looked a lot worse, but now it's there. Let me pick, say, a jungle biome. Okay, this is obviously a jungle biome, so terrain is 6-1, and I'm going to load also 6-1, so you can see the difference between the two. Here it is. Okay, so you see that the jungle actually looks massively different. It has a lot of trees. It has a ton of decorations. Once again, it doesn't really look impressive if you look at it from here. But once you look at it in the game, that is going to be a lot better, okay? This is also a mountainous area, I think. So you can see there's a lot of up and down in the terrain and so on. So yeah, this is pretty much it. This is how we generate new continents in Fractured. Once again, you know, this is the first part of the process, right? Then there is another part, which is the manual creation of points of interest, because of course procedural generation or semi-procedural generation can make things pretty good, but points of interest should be made by hand to be, you know, because they have to be even more interesting. So now I'm going to get to the it's terrain manager again, and I'm going to show the territories again, so I can see where the points of interest are. And yeah, for example, this island here, this is home of bandits encampments, and yeah, this is being worked on manually. So our level designer is working on this area by hand, you know, shaping the terrain with the classic Unity tools, changing the roads. So he's partially using our generator, partially doing a manual job. He's manually placing down objects to create, you know, a point of interest. Okay, that is going to look absolutely gorgeous and more interesting than just a regular biome, you know. And you can kind of see where all the points of interest of this planet are. So this is a bandit area. This also is going to be populated by bandits. Then we have a Grokotone area here and here, all made of flying, you know, platform hanging in the air. This is going to be really probably one of the best looking areas that we ever made in Fractured Online. Then there's going to be ogres living here, the Termidians creatures, and there's more fire elementals and other fire lizards and you know, fire themed creatures living around the volcano. We have made a lot of monsters. Like we made like I think 40-50 new monsters just for this continent, plus we are reusing some that you've already seen in Mir, like the bandits, for instance. Super cool. And I guess this is it, pretty much. What the only thing that is left for me to do is to show you the actual difference from how things look like in the editor and how things look like in the game. Okay, so let's see exactly. Let me find the exact coordinates of this location. All right, first of all, let me see what is this, what type of biome this is. So this is just a regular jungle, I guess. Yeah, this is just a regular jungle. All right. So I'm just going to take the location of this tree, which is this. All right. This here, it's 400, 124. All right. Now I'm going to launch the client, internal client, of course. I'm going to get here and show you, the difference between. All right, here I am in the game. Actually, the coordinates I've given you before were wrong. The correct one were 78 minus 2600. You can see them here. If we look at Unity, I moved the dummy character in this area. So 78 minus 2600. Here, in this area of the world that I generated before. This is how it looks like in the editor. And this is how it looks like in the game from the right camera angle, with the grass, with post-processing and everything. So yeah, here we are. This has been generated by our procedure generation tools. You can see there's also a specific set of lights for this area. There's been a greenish light. And you can see this is exactly what has been generated by our tool. So I just moved from here to this crossing, which would be exactly here in this point. You can see this. Here it is. Okay. The map here, never mind, this is the map of Eren. In the mini map and the map of Eren. It's still temporary because we haven't generated those for this continent. But yeah, you can get, as you can see, this looks pretty awesome. I mean, I know it should be you judging, but I think that this is a massive step forward, even compared to Eren, which was already a lot better than Mir in our opinion. But yeah, this looks like a real jungle, and everything is overgrown, as you can see, which is a feature of Arboreus. You have gigantic trees and also gigantic monsters, but those we will keep for a later video. You want to see the beach, right? It's enough I just go here and take this dummy character that I placed, and let's move it towards the sea. Here, 54 minus this. I'm going to use my admin tool to move there to this location, and here I am. You can see the character here on the beach, and this is where I am. So the sea should be here, and this is the beach biome that I've shown you before. With the grass, it looks a lot better, and with the proper light, it looks a lot better. So yeah, that was it. This is how we create a continent in Fractured Online. Again, months spent developing these tools, but it really paid off. So, of course, like, creating a continent is not only about creating the assets, actually working on in the Unity editor by work done by game designers and level designers. There's a lot of work done by our artists who have created all of these assets, and that obviously took several months. There's all the work done still by our artists to create all the new monsters, and of course new features also if the continent involves those. Like, this is a Wildfolk planet, so there's also a lot of coding involved and so on. So that is why we, even though we have these tools, we cannot deliver a new continent every 2 or 3 months. We can at best deliver a couple per year. But yeah, that's the magic. That's how the magic happens. I hope you appreciated this video, and I'm really looking forward to record some new ones showing you even more behind the scenes from the development of Fractured Online. I really hope you enjoyed. See you in the next one. Bye bye.